Welcome to the Customer Success Playbook Podcast, where we're passionate about evaluating your customer success game. I'm Kevin Metzger, and it's a special day for my co-host, Trebon, who's unable to join us as he's been being announced as the head of customer success of his new company. Don't forget, for a deep dive into our past episodes, videos, articles, and more, head over to customersuccessplaybook.ai. And remember to like, share, and subscribe our podcast and YouTube channel. We're committed to bringing you the latest insights and expertise from the industry's best minds. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Andrew Marks to our show. Andrew is a visionary entrepreneur and seasoned leader. As the co-founder of Success Hacker, he has been pivotal in shaping the landscape of customer success, specializing in helping businesses enhance customer lifetime value and satisfaction. His organization is renowned for its impactful coaching and training services, uniquely designed to address real-world business challenges. Andrew's role as a strategist, mentor, and collaborator has significantly influenced the customer success landscape. Andrew, welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. It's nice to actually be on the receiving end of questions for once. I'm used to being the one that doles the questions out on my my twice monthly webcast. So,
yeah, I as a matter of fact, I think I met David Ellen in person. He was a guest on your show, and he was was the second guest on our show here. But in prepping for our show as the second guest on this, I watched that, and I think that's when I first really started getting to know you. That and obviously your training programs. So I'm going to use that as a quick segue into the topic overview. In this episode of the Customer Success Playbook, we'll delve into the crucial role of learning and development in the realm of customer success. As business evolves in a rapidly changing marketplace, the need for adaptive, skilled customer success professionals has never been more critical. The episode will explore how continuous learning and targeted development strategies can revolutionize customer success teams, leading to higher customer satisfaction, increased loyalty, and sustainable business growth. Andrew, to start, let's talk about Success Hacker, your company. You offer a certification program in customer success that's recognized and accredited for continued professional development. Why is that important?
You know, it's professional development, I think, is important for everybody. It helps you progress in your career. It demonstrates to your team when a company invests in their people, that they're investing in their people and they want them to advance. Our certifications are globally certified by the CPD, which is a global accreditation service out of the United Kingdom. They also happen to accredit Oxford's courses. So I mean, we're in pretty good company. We're also teaching our content through the University of San Francisco School of Management. They offer an executive program on customer success, and I teach two. Actually, next year looks like maybe 3 cohorts a year on our level 1 and level 2 training programs. And people just people like to have that certification. You know, it's almost like a seal of approval. Hey, this person has been through a course, has done the work, is a self-starter, is somebody who follows through. I mean, when you think about education, there's 2 things that I always felt about when I got my college degree. Right, even though I got my degree in marketing and I don't even freaking use it. I mean, I use marketing to an extent, but I've never held a marketing job before. Yeah. There were 2 things that my hiring managers recognize and that I recognize is number 1, college taught you how to think, but number 2, it shows that you could complete things.
Yep.
Right. It proves that you can get things done. And so that certification, you know, it's kind of that badge of honor, but also it shows that you can complete things.
Yep. No, I think that's as a hiring manager, it's definitely something that I've looked for in the past from in various fields, right? I think it became huge in the project management field, obviously with PMBOK and stuff like that.
And PMI and PMP, and I mean, those are all very well respected certifications, and that's actually what we aspire to be. Now, we don't have millions and millions of people with our certifications, but for a small company in a emerging field like this, we have over 27,000 students on our platform. We've issued over 20,000 certifications, 20,000 credentials. So we're making progress.
Yeah, it's significant.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that too, Bob.
Thank you.
All right. So in your experience with Success Hacker and the trainings that you're doing, what trainings are currently getting the most traction and attendance?
Well, our level 1 and level 2 content is core. I mean, it's foundational customer success. It teaches you the basics. As a matter of fact, level 1 and level 2 originally, when we first rolled this training out now, gosh, must be 6-7 years ago, when we first actually deployed it, it was all one level. Yep. And so we what was funny at the time was we had this feeling that the market needed training, but we took very much a MVP approach. And we really came up with this. I designed this 24-week program. We were going to deliver it just as a coaching program, you show up and here's some content to consume before, and then we're going to get on a call and talk about it, which is still part of our training program, but not in the format that we have now. But when we first put it out there, we developed the first 3 modules, and we said, okay, let's develop these before we go down the path and develop all 24. Actually, I'm sorry, not modular, they're courses. Todd would just Todd doesn't like using the term module, so he keeps browbeating me. He's like, stop using the word module. So we developed these 24, or I laid out this 24 course model, and we developed the first 3 courses. We said, okay, if we develop 3 courses, let's put it out there. We know what the rest is going to look like, but let's see how many people sign up. Because if we don't get enough people signing up, then we got to kind of rethink this, and then we wouldn't have to have developed, done all the work to develop it. Because course development is not easy. I mean, they say for the online learning portion, it's anywhere from 40 to 60 hours for every hour of learning development, right? So every hour of learning content, online learning content, 40 to 60 hours. And our stuff, because we do a bunch of other things besides the actual recording, there's a bunch of other elements. It's definitely towards the 60 hours. So we developed the first 3 courses, and then we put it up for sale. And we figured, okay, as long as we get the first 3 courses up, we can probably get the rest of the stuff done, and catch up on a weekly basis. Well, like 30 people showed up for the first 30 people signed up, and it wasn't cheap. We were charging for 2 levels. We were charging like $1,500, $1,700 a person.
Yeah.
And 30 people signed up, and we were just like, wow, this is the thing. I think we should do this. So every week though, it's like Sunday night at midnight, and I'm recording, or James, who was with us, used to be with us, was recording the online learning content that we would have to drop on Monday so that the students could consume it in time for us to have the Thursday group call where we would, connect the dots between what we were teaching them in the online learning and how to apply it to their world. And so that first few months of delivering that initial training program was just crazy, because in addition to the 1 hour, roughly 45 minutes to an hour of online learning, we also developed management implementation guides, because we knew that was something that we wanted to develop for leaders, because we wanted to go into the enterprise. We wanted to go, sell this to teams.
Yep.
So we actually have a guide that managers can use we basically used to coach managers in coaching their teams. We had workbooks that had to be developed. We had to develop exercises, because we're not just going to spit information out. We want to develop something meaningful to help you connect the dots, and that you could start to apply the skills that we were teaching. And so at the end of that experience, we also realized that 24 weeks was way too much for somebody to sign up for. So that original 24-week course became our level 1 and our level 2. We just cut it in half. So that has got to be our number one most popular piece of content, because it's the fundamentals. Another piece of content, another training program that's become very popular is outcome-based selling, which is something that was developed by my partner Aaron, that we're currently in the process of turning into a pure online learning. Right now, it's a combination of online learning and coaching, and that's this notion of engaging customer success into the latter stages of the sales cycle for your larger accounts, so that the whole concept of the outcome that we're looking to achieve with our customer is being discussed before the deal is done.
Yep.
Right. And that's especially for larger accounts, that's a really important piece of the puzzle. And it's something that I myself have been doing and coaching my teams on. You remember, we're all former operational executives. So this content wasn't developed as a bunch of trainers that were developing some training content to sell. We're all former operational executives. We've done this job before. Before success was a thing, we were in the services business. Right. And back in the services days, we always engaged in the latter stages of the sales cycle, especially with the larger accounts. So that's become a very popular piece of content, because we live in a subscription economy now, and we need to make sure that the proper expectations are being set, so that the people who are making the promises are in sync with the people who are responsible for making those promises into reality.
And delivering. Yeah.
And being able to deliver. And then the last one is the last thing that's becoming more and more popular is change management for customer success. Change management for customer success. I mean, you think about it. I remember when we first started doing this, and I would talk to, and we did a lot of consulting when we were getting started. We actually, consulting and recruiting actually helped us fund the development of our training programs. I would talk to customer success managers and their leaders, and I'd say, "So what are you doing for adoption?" And they'd say, "Well, we're just, we're training our customers." Well, training is an enabler, but whenever you ask a customer or users to change the way they're doing things, it's not just training, it's a change management exercise. So through one of our partners, we developed a change management for customer success training program that actually trains customer success managers on the concepts of change management, so that you have now this change management toolbox that you can bring to the table when you're helping to drive adoption with your customers. And that works, that understanding that works whether you're doing a hands-on, high-touch, white glove model down to a no-touch, purely tech touch model. You need to understand the concepts and the tools you can use from a change management perspective.
Yeah, and actually, the last two items you mentioned in conjunction together are so huge, right? Starting with the sales teams and bringing the CSM into that process, and really understanding what the customer's goals are, getting them set. I'm sure you're familiar with all the work Greg Danes has done around really setting and measuring to customer goals. This falls right in line with that, getting that set up, and then recognizing that there's a change management piece in adopting software or adopting a new process that has to go along with that. And that really is part of achieving those goals, is understanding how to do change management. So
you mentioned Greg Danes. He's somebody who we're talking to right now about. We have a very select group of partners that we are engaging with, who have developed training for our platform. So our change management guy, Toby Lusich, is a partner. We also have two other partners that deal with customer conversations. So Bob London just recently released a strategic conversations workshop on our platform. And then Anita Toth is doing a difficult customer conversations, two other very popular courses that we offer, workshops. But actually, we're talking to Greg Danes about something along the lines of what he has to be able to deliver on our platform as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, great stuff that you've got and that you're continuing to develop. So as you've got all of this content out there, right? How do you measure the effectiveness of the courses that you're delivering, and what the real world customer success outcomes are?
So that's a great question, and it's not easy. I mean, it's challenging. I mean, you've got to look. I hear that all the time, and I've been selling education I've been selling training programs for a long time. Once again, as a former operational executives in the post sales world, we were always selling education, and sometimes one of the hardest things to do is to quantify the value of what your customer is purchasing. So there's a couple of things, and I want to answer this question in two parts. There is the metrics to measure from a company perspective that determine whether your team is grokking what you're training. Okay, so I look at this question from two angles. How effective is the training for the people, and then how effective is the training for your customers that your people are getting? Make sense? So let's talk about the metrics to measure, to think about. And by the way, these types of metrics this is part of what we have in our management implementation guides that accompany each one of our modules. We provide leaders with a list of potential metrics that they might want to be looking at to see, to tell if their people are grokking what we're teaching, right? And that's spilling down to the customer. So of course, customer sat, right? CSAT scores are indicating that direct customer feedback on service quality. That's always an interesting measure to be looking at, and tracking changes in scores before and after training interventions to gauge the impact on customer satisfaction. Net promoter score, right? Assessing how training influences NPS.
Yep.
The likelihood of customers recommending your services. Employee competency assessments, right? Conducting regular assessments to evaluate the improvement in team competencies, right? Which feeds down into your customers. Resolution times. First contact resolution times. And by the way, we believe that we're living in a subscription economy. So you need to be prepared to deliver a great customer experience across every element of the post-sales journey. And it's why we strongly believe that Customer Service 3.0 is all about the customer experience, and the programs that we've created are focused on that, because customer retention, customer expansion, cross-sell, upsell is not based on the level of effort that one customer success manager delivers. It's all of those interactions that your customer has with everybody in your company that they encounter. And so Customer Service 3.0, if we look at that, holistically, as kind of everything that the customer experiences, really even during the latter stages of the sales cycle, potentially even in the early stages of the sales cycle, they're all going to determine whether a customer is going to stay with you or not.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but over the last decade, customer service has just kind of dropped off a cliff. So we strongly believe that Customer Service 3.0 really is fundamentally customer success. And that's what our training programs, and you're going to see next year, we're going to be opening things up even more to other areas of customer facing roles. So we're getting ready to release level 1 of our customer support training program, and next year we'll be releasing some programs that are squarely focused on customer service. But back to the metrics. Customer effort score. All right. So any decrease in customer effort required to resolve issues post-training indicates improved customer service efficiency and effectiveness, retention rates, and upsell, cross-sell success, of course. Once again, every little experience kind of plays a role in that. And then finally, employee engagement and turnover rates, right? Motivated, well-trained staff are more likely to stay and perform better for you. Sir Richard Branson, one of my favorite executives, he's famously stated that the customer is not number one, your employees are number one. If you treat your employees as number one, that attitude flows through to your customers.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So treat your people well. Now, as far as gauging the effectiveness of the training, regular surveys and feedback forms, focus groups and interviews with your training teams, performance analytics and reporting. That's something actually that we provide in our tool for leaders who purchase our team subscriptions. We have a whole reporting and analytics section. We've built our own data warehouse. So we have this extensive learning management system analytics to track engagement with training materials and completion rates and all that stuff. You can tell by just looking at the analytics, you can tell which teams are super engaged and which people are super engaged. And it also really kind of plays out in the execution. There's one of our larger customers that has hundreds of people on our platform. They hired somebody with a non-traditional customer success platform, and we're on a renewal call. This was, I don't know, probably 2 years ago. And they're still a customer on a renewal call with their global VP of customer success. And there was he was quiet, and there's just back and forth between his leadership about, how to incent people and yada yada yada. And he says, okay, everybody simmer down. He says, I don't care how we do this, how we deliver it. That's up to you to figure out. All I know is that we need to renew with these guys. And he tells this story of this individual that they hired that he was really skeptical about. This person came from a non-traditional background, and he said, I really didn't think this person, was going to cut the mustard. But what they ended up doing is they ended up just immersing themselves in the training material. They got through 2.5 levels of our training, so our core training content, and then a few other modules within 9 months of joining the company, and then like 2 weeks prior to our meeting, this individual, who the VP of Global Customer Success was skeptical about, ended up closing the largest renewal that they ever saw in the region this individual worked. And he attributed that in a large part to the confidence that this person was, had in themselves, because they consumed the material, they understood what their role was. Yep. Right. And so it's kind of, but it's kind of hard. How do you measure the confidence, right?
Yeah. But it's kind of testimonial that you love to have exactly. And be able to tell.
He's doing it on the renewal call, and I'm just sitting there listening to this with big old smile on my face going, that's great. I love hearing that. That's awesome.
Well, when it's an interesting lesson, right? When you are hitting the goals of your customer and helping your customer achieve it's a customer success lesson in and of itself, right? Yeah, your customer sells the renewal for you.
Exactly. There's no better person. We teach this. There's no better person selling for you than your customer.
Yeah. Yep. So I like that. I like that story. How have you seen customer success strategies evolve, like as we over time, especially with some of the new influences that are coming in, such as AI?
I think I don't know if they evolve over time necessarily, but I think there's a much bigger focus on doing more with less. That's not necessarily something that's evolved over time. Actually, if anything, what I've seen evolve over time is taking that approach seriously, because I had plenty of situations where I've been working with or advising companies that just wanted to throw bodies at their customer success problems, and I said that's not the smart thing to do. What I've also seen is less focus on the importance of a customer success management system, like the Gainsights and the Tatangos of the world. Not saying that these aren't important, but really, they should take a back seat to, let's make sure our people are trained. Let's make sure we have a process in place, a methodology in place.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of experiences where I've advised companies that have gone out and implemented a customer success management system, only to have to take all the work that they did and throw it out and have to re-implement it because they didn't approach, building out their customer experience first.
Customer journey. Yep.
Right. Their customer journey. And it's something, this was such it's such an important piece of the puzzle. We actually have developed a tool called the Customer Success Engagement Blueprint that is meant to be a constantly evolving kind of map of what your customer journey looks like tactically. I mean, if you think about, if you've seen kind of the traditional customer journey blueprints where they make them all pretty and they've got swim lanes, they throw it up on the wall so they can show a customer. It's very much like the analogy I use is when you go to an architect and you ask that architect to build you a new home, they develop this 3D relief of what the home's going to look like that they deliver to the customer. So
Yep.
Here's what isn't this beautiful? And here's a 3D version of the front of your house, and here's the backyard, and it's all beautiful. But then what they also do is they deliver a set of technical plans to the contractor. It says, okay, see this thing, this pretty thing that I presented to the customer? Well, here are the technical plans you need to use in order to build that. And so our customer success engagement blueprint are those technical plans that lay out, here's what you need here's how you need to be delivering success. And it's built in Google Sheets on purpose. So it can be this collaborative thing that's constantly being updated, and so you need to understand what it is you're trying to achieve and how you're going to deliver it, and then make sure that you have the people trained to be able to deliver it before you even begin to roll out systems to be able to support it. And so I've seen a big transition, moving away from this kind of magic bullet of using some customer success management system, which once again, I'm not trashing this, the CSMs or the customer. What is it? Customer. How do they? What's the synonym for customer? Is it CSM? Customer Success Management System? Or something?
Yes, platforms, customer
CS
success.
Whatever. The CSPs. Yes.
CSPs.
I'm not trashing the CSPs. They have an important role,
Yep.
but trying to implement one before you've got your head around what it is you're trying to do is backwards.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing more thoughtfulness put into that, and I'm seeing more, as evidenced by the growth in our business. I'm seeing more companies and teams realize that, hey, we got to train our people because there's a human element to this. And kind of jumping to AI, there always will be a human element to this. I posted on LinkedIn at the beginning of the year after I had a chance to mess around with ChatGPT and really kind of wrap my head around AI, which is something I've been looking at for years. I don't believe that AI poses the existential threat that everybody is, hemming and hawing about. I look at AI and large language models as being a really nice complement to what we do. But at the end of the day, people want to do business with people.
Yeah.
And so will always be a human element. Now, what AI will allow me to do if I'm in the mid-market, or even if I'm in the enterprise, it allows me to, as a customer success manager, maybe handle 10 accounts instead of 5 accounts. Right. Maybe what it does is in the mid-market allows me to handle 150 accounts instead of 50 accounts. Right. It allows me to more effectively automate and for the tech touch or the no touch, and have a more effective kind of reactive, proactive approach when I'm dealing with a pooled model, right? But I don't look at AI as being something that's going to replace people. I think it's good. I'm looking at it as something that's going to increase efficiency and be really almost like a co-pilot, almost like a customer success manager's assistant, to help, go deeper. Customer success managers spend a lot of time doing a lot of administrative stuff, and not enough time really understanding a customer's business and being able to apply the effort, the mental effort to really sit down and think about how can I help my customer extract as much value as possible from their investment in what we do. And I think AI is going to open that up.
Yeah, I think that's a real accurate, very accurate thought process. Earlier this year, I heard a lot of people kind of saying, what was it? AI, the person who's using AI is going to be, people aren't going to get replaced by a person who's using AI is going to replace a person who's not using AI.
Yeah, exactly. And there was an article I read, and I co-opt this this saying in the article. I really got to find that article again so that I can actually cite it. But this individual wrote that AI is going to turn knowledge workers into knowledgeable workers, and I love that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because the ability to. It's one thing when you got to put together all the reports and all that information, taking all the time that you have to put together those reports and gather and put it is time taken away from being able to look at the reports, understand what they mean, and figure out how to really help your customer achieve their next goal.
Yeah.
Whereas if all that stuff can be collaborated and put together for you, which these tools are going to be excellent at, already are excellent at, but you will just keep getting better at, and presenting the information to you and saying, hey, here's some stuff. By the way, here's some thoughts on it. And this is some things to help stimulate your own thought process. And then you're starting, which these tools are getting really driving towards. And that's I think that's what we'll see a lot of.
Oh, they're amazing for brainstorming, right?
Yeah.
They're amazing for, I'll admit I've used it to brainstorm ideas, to kind of help me kind of lay things out in a logical way. It doesn't mean that it's going to take your job. You still got to, and it doesn't mean you can't slack off. There's still a lot of work that needs to get done, but it makes things a lot easier. And for what we do, content development is, it's not easy. Developing this content is not an easy thing. And we got 5 levels completely developed without the aid of any AI. That takes a lot of freaking mind cycle.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think it's cool. For individuals aspiring to excel in customer success, what are some of the key skills or areas of knowledge you would recommend they focus on developing? When we talk about this, from both the soft skills and from a hard skills, like what are just some key areas? So,
whenever I get somebody asking me what are the top skills customer success managers should have, the 2 that always bubble up to the top, 2 soft skills always bubble up to the top to start: active listening and the skills surrounding active listening. So, open-ended questioning and storytelling, which are part of that, and then empathy, huge, being able to empathize. And empathy is not only an important aspect for a customer-facing individual to better understand a customer, but you are not delivering customer success on your own. There are others within your company that are responsible for customer success, whether they know it or not. These include everybody from marketing and sales to product to engineering, right? And customer success is famously like kind of the cog in the middle of that wheel that is connecting with the customer. And so not only does empathy play a role in better understanding what a customer needs are and helping you connect the dots between what you offer and how you can help them get as much value as possible, but that empathy skill also helps you to connect with others within your organization that are helping you to help the customer deliver success, right? So the more empathetic you are, the more empathy you practice, the better you're going to be able to connect with the people that you depend on in order to help deliver success to your customers.
Yeah,
so
the cross-functional influence that is just imperative to delivering
absolutely
customer
important.
success across an organization.
Absolutely important.
Yeah.
How much it was I learned this earlier in my career. How, for example, there's always been this friction between sales and post sales.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I had just did a webinar last week on the love-hate relationship between sales and post sales.
Yep.
And I say that tongue in cheek. I have a lot of respect for salespeople, right? But it was once I realized that, yeah, sales is just tossing stuff over the wall at me, or they're just moving on to the next customer. Well, guess what? That's what they're paid for.
Exactly.
Right. So when I, reoriented my perspective, which is what empathy is about. And let's not mistake empathy to sympathy. Empathy is orienting yourself from somebody to somebody else's perspective. Sympathy is adding the emotional component to that. We're not talking about sympathy. We're talking about empathy. If I can orient myself to the perspective of somebody else, how much better am I going to be able to interface with, communicate with, understand that individual?
Yes.
There is a great book, and I've been referencing this book now for a couple of years because it's the top of my business books list. It's called Never Split the Difference. With Chris Voss is the author. So former FBI hostage negotiator, and he applies some empathy and active listening are two key components of his hostage negotiation technique, right? Being able to understand the person that he's dealing with makes him makes it a lot easier for him to understand to understand where they're coming from and to make a connection with people. And that's what we try to do. So those are the two big soft skills. And as far as hard skills go, it should go without saying, but the kind of the technical know-how of what your product does. I mean, you need to understand it to an extent. Now, I spent an incredibly successful 5 years at Business Objects in the services business, and I built up a practice in North America that was the smallest practice when I got there and became the largest practice and most successful practice in North America by the time I left. And I learned enough technically about the product to be dangerous, but I never wrote a report. I never installed the product. I also understood where to find the right person. And I had my right guy, my Jay was my right-hand guy. And whenever I had to go deep into some sort of technical aspect of the product, I would pull Jay in. So I knew where my limits were. So that's an important hard skill. And then data analysis is another important hard skill as a customer success manager. And we actually have are you familiar with who Ed Powers?
Yes, we actually interviewed Ed Powers a couple weeks ago.
So awesome. So Ed actually delivers data-driven decision making as a 10-week coaching course on our platform. And so, being able to make data-driven decisions, and he has a great course. We get just raving reviews from people who go through the course. It is statistics, so you got to be prepared to learn some statistics. At a minimum, being able to kind of sort, filter, and use pivot tables in Excel can be incredibly helpful for a customer success manager when you're trying to assess either the data of a customer or the data associated with your book of business. Those are some of the critical skills. And then and we have, outside of course your own product technical know-how, we cover a lot of the soft skills and a number of the hard skills that people need. Being able to have difficult conversations. That's why we work with Bob London and Nita Toth. or Anita Toth for difficult conversations, Bob London for strategic customer conversations, being able to ask good questions, which is kind of part of active listening, but being able to ask good discovery questions. Customers love it, by the way, when you ask good questions. So being able to ask good questions and that sort of stuff. So that's really those are my recommendations for people who are looking for the, to get in and the skills to focus on.
Awesome. I think I've got one last question for you before we run into a couple rapid fire questions.
Sure.
So as you design these courses, what are some of the biggest challenges you face when developing the training programs for the customer success teams?
So there are three, and they're challenges, but we feel that we're addressing those challenges. Keeping content relevant is number one. Number two is engaging diverse learning styles, so everybody learns differently, and then ensuring practical applicability. So keeping content relevant, we try and refresh our content every couple of years. Our level one actually is being refreshed. It's been refreshed. We're just getting ready to release it in combination with a whole new user experience, look and feel, but it was refreshed as of March. So that's the first piece. So we try and keep it as relevant as possible. And now we are, we've broken things up so that we can actually replace just individual sections and get to the point where if you are joining us from a particular vertical, we can actually replace that and say, oh, you're from healthcare? Okay, so look at this. Here's something that's relevant to healthcare. The diverse learning styles, we offer everything from pure online learning to 3-day boot camps and then the 12-week coaching cohorts, which is a kind of a merger of the two. So, people, sometimes people can handle autonomous learning. Sometimes people want some sort of instructor to be able to talk to, or a group. So that's how we address the diverse learning styles. And then as far as practical applicability goes, for nearly every single course, we have some sort of tool, canvas, worksheet that allows you to take what you've learned or an element of what you've learned in that course and apply it. And we're gonna enhance that, and over the coming 12 months, we're gonna actually try and come up with a. Actually, we've come up with it. It's just a matter of incorporating it. Is a narrative around a story that everybody can relate to about a company that has a product or a set of products. And as you go through the training course, you start to apply the learnings from the training, it's going to apply it to different elements of this kind of standard fictitious company and what they're going through as they deliver success. Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. And that's to make that useful. And that's probably the hardest thing that we've done.
Yeah. That's really cool though. I mean, being able to actually apply your knowledge or what you're learning and figure out how to apply it before actually going into the field and applying it is a huge benefit. And
we've started building like next week I'm going to be doing a level two training, a live boot camp, 3-day boot camp. And what I do before these boot camps is I look at the people who have signed up, and especially when I have groups of folks, we'll have some case studies and some role play exercises, and I'll go and customize the role plays and the case studies based on where they come from, what business they're in. And so we're able to actually provide them with examples that are very relatable. And that's super important to ensure practical applicability. The best thing that you can do is provide material that is incredibly relatable. And as we go through and we do that, we've begun to develop these libraries of role plays and case studies, and they're based on kind of they're the real world case studies and role plays, but and they're based on reality, but they're fictitious names and made up and usernames and things like that. But like, I mean, we've got these libraries now that have SaaS accounting and content management and healthcare and HR systems. And so every time somebody shows up, and we've got a really broad range of students from lots of different types of industries. So every time we get a new industry that comes in, we develop a set of role plays and case studies that in order to make it as relatable as possible for people.
That's awesome. It's great stuff, Andrew. I appreciate everything you've given us so far. Let's run through a couple of quick rapid fire questions just to get to know you better. One hobby you have outside of work?
What hobby do I have outside of work? God, I've got so many freaking hobbies. My hobby. I don't know if you see back here. I don't play my guitars enough, but I've been playing guitar since I was a kid.
Oh wow.
So that's something. I have, and my daughter is playing competitive soccer right now. So I don't know whether that's a hobby or a commitment, but I find myself nearly every weekend, actually up until this weekend, I found myself on the pitch, watching her play and get better and better at. So my daughter, my 14-year-old, is almost like my hobby. I spend a lot of time with her and supporting her and what she's doing.
That's great. Yeah, I've got a 21, a 17, and a 14-year-old. The older two are girls. My 17-year-old is a competitive cheerleader. I know what you're talking about, spending all the weekends on it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun. It's fun to watch.
It is.
All right. So early bird or night owl? Or both?
Oh, no, I'm an early bird. I'm typically up around 5:30 every morning, including the weekends, unfortunately, because my body is programmed to do that. I'm working out, and right behind this wall, when we moved out of the Bay Area, we could actually afford a house that had, with some property and some, sizable, decent sized house. Right on the other side of this wall is an actual gym. So I've got an elliptical and a treadmill and a row machine and weights. And so I find myself in there a few days a week. And if I'm not in there, I'm sitting right here working, doing something related to the business.
Very cool. And one place you'd like to travel before that you haven't already been?
That I haven't already been. Because the one place I like to travel, I was actually at this summer. We spent 10 days in Kauai as a family, which was nice. And the other one that my daughter and I were able to go down to Costa Rica for 10 days this year for a service trip through her school, which was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
That right there would be a podcast to talk about that experience in itself. But I have always wanted to go to Italy. I have not been to Italy yet. We were considering going this summer, but I've lagged on getting the arrangements together, and we don't want to be anywhere near Europe next summer because of the Olympics. Yeah. But sometime in probably next summer, or not this coming summer, we don't want to be probably the summer after that. We're gonna go spend a couple of weeks in Italy and probably a week in Greece.
Nice.
So those are two places that we have not been that I would like to go.
Very cool. I'm going to skip the book question because we already talked about it with Never Split the Difference. Yep. And tell us more about where the audience could find you, where they should go to get more information.
Success Hacker or successcoaching.co. Successcoaching.co is the main website. On that, you'll find information about all of our training programs. We also have 2 webinars every month. One is CSM Mastermind, where I invite 3 panelists to join me to talk about a particular topic that is more individual contributor focused, and then the CS Leadership Roundtable, which is, like the name sounds, a more leadership focused webcasts. So those happen every month. And you can find that under the events tab. You can find out about all of our training under the training tab. And we've got we've got all of our recordings accessible through that website. So everything you need, you can find at successcoaching.co. And we have a lot of content in front of the paywall.
Yeah.
So check it out. Also, you follow me on LinkedIn. I am posting on a weekly basis, typically, something that is customer success related. And that's how you can find me and where you can find me.
Thanks, Andrew. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Customer Success Playbook. We hope you found our conversation insightful and enjoyed learning about the opportunities to learn more about customer success. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, comment, and share it with your friends and colleagues. You can also find us on LinkedIn, my co-host Roman Trebon, myself at Kevin Metzger, and look for the Customer Success Playbook there as well at Customer Success Playbook. Make sure to check out our website, customersuccessplaybook.ai, and sign up for our newsletter content and share your feedback on the show and give us suggestions for future topics, guests we should have on. As always, thank you for listening and keep on playing.